All right, well, let's welcome Coach Cooley. I hope I said it right because I'm a
You
dumb
did.
country boy. Um, he's offense coordinator at Hixson High School. Coach, thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, that's why I go by Coach Steve. My last name's Kaczewski, and I'm like, don't even worry about the Polishness. Don't even worry about it. And so then when I see people's names, I don't try to, I may not pronounce right. I forget to ask before I hit record, and I'm like, oh, well, shit, here we go. Here's my English class kicking in. It's see if it works.
Yeah, man. You got it. You nailed it right in the first one. You got it.
Perfect. See, my education's working. See, it's all good. Um, well, Coach, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you for a second. What made you want to become a coach? Because we all have different reasons or different paths that make us
Right.
get there. So, what made you become a coach? How'd you end up where you ended up here today?
Yeah. So pretty much for me, I have a weird story and a weird path. So like obviously high school, you play ball. Obviously I had coaches who were humongous influences on me and guys I still talk to today, for advice and all kinds of stuff and it's crazy kind of playing against them. So that's kind of a crazy thing. But I had two or three coaches that really impacted my life heavily. So obviously we wanted to make an impact on kids' lives. So I chose initially coming out of college, I chose to teach and coach, and then I started making music. Man, it's crazy. I started I started rapping when I was in high school. I
Mm.
know it's crazy. I've got a I sound like a old redneck right now. That's because I am a redneck, but but I started doing that, and I kind of pursued music there for about 8 years, kind of seriously. I went to Middle Tennessee State, and they have a really, really good music program there because it's near Nashville. So ended up getting a degree there in audio production, and it's a science degree. So allowed me to, teach science whenever I kind of realized, yeah, I'm kind of done making music. I want to retire from that, and kind of ended up wanting to do that anyway to make an impact on people just in a different way, and kind of came full circle back to coaching and teaching and just really the impact, and got hired by my alma mater, Sequatchie County, um, 2 years, I think, or a year and a half after I got out of college, to teach and coach. Coach Mark Wattenbarger gave me my first opportunity. So coached receivers there for the first year and helped with defensive backs. Second year, I was a special teams coordinator and ended up coaching quarterbacks. And the third year, I was still the special teams coordinator and coached tailback. So I coached pretty much everything, and then got my first OC job in Georgia. Went to Georgia because we're right on where I live. We're in Chattanooga. We're really close to the Georgia line. So
Right.
ended up going to Georgia for a year, for my first OC opportunity. And you wouldn't believe the cats in Georgia, dude. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like it's like you cross the line. It's like, I mean, they're a different breed over there. So that was really good for me. Just kind of being thrown into the fire right there. Spent 1 year there, kind of had a family emergency kind of deal. So I had to move back home. So ended up getting a job nearby in Cumberland County. It was kind of a last minute thing because of the whole emergency thing. It was really the only thing open. So I took that job, was there for a year, and then I ended up at Hixson, where I still am today. We had a really good year last year for us. It was my first year there. I think we ended up improving our points per game by, I mean, 11, 12 points from the year
Wow.
before. Yeah, and I think we scored the most points in 10 years this year, and had the most wins in 10 years. We won 7 games in the regular season. So it was a really good year for us, and looking forward to a really good year next year as well, as we don't lose very many seniors. So hopefully we can keep that thing building.
Oh, that's good. 12 points is a lot. It doesn't sound like it,
Yeah,
but that's a
they
huge.
they I can't remember how many they averaged. I think they were around 9 or 10 points, maybe 11 points a game, and we hit 24. So I mean, maybe my math's not very good, but we hit 24 a game this year. It was like 24.8. So I guess you could round it up to 25 if you really wanted to be that guy. But I don't know. I just say 24.
I'll be that guy and say it's 25. I'm the old line coach, so I have to round it up. I'm like, yeah, it's 25. It's 25. Um, so what? would you say was the difference when you got there then? If they're only scoring 9, 10 points a game, what was that
Um,
difference?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, I think it was, you know, they were they were running some similar stuff as us. I think I obviously bring a different style of play as far as like some tempo stuff, and I think kind of just I mean, I just throwing the ball a little bit more, just to be honest with you. And it's not just like we're like I like to take shots down the field. I love it, but we got into a situation this year where in our jamboree, which is right before our first game, our starting quarterback breaks his ankle.
Wow.
So he's out for the year. So I got to put a kid that's playing sniffer there, who's a really good leader for us and has played quarterback before.
Mhm.
Put him there, and he don't have the as strong of an arm, but he's really smart and knows football. So we ended up getting real creative with our screen game, and we got some pretty good athletes on the outside. So we did a lot of sprint out pass, like jailbreak screens off of that, just trying to be creative with the kids that we had and use kind of everybody. And the year before we have a really good running back this year, and he played the previous year obviously, and they were really loading him up on the carries,
Mhm.
and then everybody kind of knew that he was getting the ball. So we just tried to use him. I mean, we used him a lot. He got the ball a lot for us, but using him as a decoy, I mean, my goodness, everybody's expecting him to get the football, and then you throw it out to a one-on-one outside. And as well as I do, kids in high school struggle tackling in space. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard. It's a hard
Yeah.
thing to do. So if you get a kid that can run a 4.6, 4.5 out there and just stop on a dime and catch it, it's tough. So I think just for us, trying to spread the ball around a little bit and we go at various tempos. We're not just full like Tennessee or some teams like that are just really really fast all the time. We like and we're no huddle. They were huddle before. Just a different identity. I mean, we're still running what counter power, and we're still running inside zone a little bit, and we're still running those same kind of plays. Just kind of a different style, I guess.
Is that mainly your run plays then is more gap scheme than zone?
Yeah, I've always took gap scheme to my everywhere that I've been because you can do it with any type of offensive line body. I mean, you know that. I mean, it's creating really good angles for your guys if they're 100 and 75 pounds or if they're 250 pounds. You're creating a good angle for them. This is really the only place that I've been where we've ran zone effectively,
Mhm.
kind of all year. It's hard, it's hard to teach. It's easy concept to understand. It's hard to really emphasize getting that double team combo and you're getting that vertical push and coming off on that backer who's coming down hard. It's really, really hard to do.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
had a lot of success with just insert, like almost like ISO.
Yeah.
So we'd ISO, and the good thing about zone that I like is our H back's kind of a strength, right? It's what they set their strength to. And if you're running gap stuff, he's going to take you to the ball. And if we run zone, he's not going to do that. We can run it weak, and him not even really be involved. And we've run some RPOs to that guy, so we'll put him out in the flat, read the end, and pop it to him out there. And that way, it's not a telltale sign what we're doing. So it really worked pretty well for us. And we run some stretch too, a little bit of outside zone. I just call it stretch, but we stretch it and we run jet sweep the same way. We block it the same way.
Yeah. Our OC loves gap scheme, but then when I got there, I was the guy that's like, "Oh, can we run inside zone?" Because that's like my favorite play, and
I
started
like it
doing
too.
it. And uh, because we then this year we wanted to do power, but we realized you really need a good kick out guy that understands who to block, and we didn't really have that. But we had guys that could insert, we had guys that could get to the outside, we had guys that could do the split zone stuff, and so we only did power read. The power read
Yeah,
stuff was still good, but we were inside zone, wide zone. Because when I was learning wide zone, I learned you can't call wide zone outside zone, you can't call outside zone wide zone, you can't call stretch that because
right.
the kind of like the run and shoot cards that people have.
Yeah,
Like, I can't tell you the pass protection. I'm going to lose my card. It was the same thing. I reached out to coaches, would hop on a Zoom, and I would say, okay, I want to learn wide zones. So they're showing me, and then I would say the words outside zone. They'd stop the screen and they go, well, which one are you trying to do here? And so I realized what the difference was, and I'm like, oh, okay, the lineman is what's different, like what the
right,
linemen do. And
right.
same thing with duo. Like I was like, oh, this is kind of like inside zone. And they stopped and they're like, no,
No.
it's not. And I'm like, but I'm teaching the same footwork. And they're like, yeah, but it's not the same because we double team. And I'm like, okay. And try duo this year and we just could, we tried in the summer and it just didn't fit. It
I've
was,
only been able to run duo with a tight end and a sniffer end. If I get in a big personnel package, because I block it like the same as power, except you don't pull the backside guard. That's how
yep.
I block it. So it's a little different than zone for me. Like if you ran it to the right, like you would zone step to the right or whatever. And if you run duo, we're like literally gap down back or back to the left, and we're doubling back. So I've ran it pretty good that way a couple times, but it's not really a base of what we do. It's more of a wrinkle for us.
Yeah. I got there. I took this job in 2020 of the summer because I didn't think COVID would last that long. I'm like, yeah, sure. Let me just take this leap of faith and go here. And then COVID lasted forever. And we couldn't have our football season until the spring. So it was just always up in the air. And I came in and I said, well, why don't we just do inside zone and ISO because I could teach the same thing. We get a nice little lead blocker. And so we've ran ISO ever since I've been there. So this year when I tried duo, didn't work. I said, fine, we'll just go back to ISO. It's pretty much the same thing for us. Let's just do that. And that works a lot better. And then wide zone last year struggled. This year became like our best play ever. And toss, like the pin and pull toss, but we don't pull
Yep.
the backside. It's just pull the front. Uh,
Yeah.
best plays we had. And then we go tempo out of it because we were the opposite of you. We were no huddle. This year coming in, we are 6'3", 210-pound quarterback said he wasn't going to play, going to
Mm.
focus on baseball. So we were like, oh shit, now we got to find a quarterback. And so because of that, we were like, let's just be a huddle team, still signal it into him, but be a huddle team. And then when we decided to go no huddle, it would really throw teams off, have one
Yeah.
word plays, the same formation. We could freeze people. And so that worked for us. And I found it easier to go from slow to fast than fast to slow
Right.
because the year before we tried to go fast and then try to go slow and it's screwed with it. Like, don't know how it happens, but when you do that, kids just forget how to line up. They jump off the ball because they're trying to go too fast. I don't know. Don't know if you ever saw that, but we did.
Yeah, we jump off sides too much, but I mean, we for me like I would not really tell them that we're going to slow it down. I would just act like I didn't know what play I was calling because we get on the ball so fast. And
Yeah.
if I wanted to slow it down, they're sitting there, they're looking for the signal, and I'll kind of just stare at them for like until I'm ready to give them the play, and then they'll get the echo, and then they'll go kind of at their same pace. So it's kind of on me. They'll line up and get on the ball like we're going tempo, and then I just let them chill out and rest, and then we'll kind of just go. And we had a couple offsides doing that, not a whole lot. I mean, two or three is more than I want, but we weren't doing it like a whole lot. But I mean, that's I just kind of put it on me instead of them as much.
Yeah, because that's what Mike Leach would do. I ask people about Mike Leach because they're like, they think he's up tempo, but he's not. His signals were just one handed, so it was just quick.
Yeah.
But if he wanted to wait, just because he's trying to think, then so people always thought he was up tempo. Uh, and I'll never forget, I was 22 or 23 years old, first offense coordinator job. I was, I went to EIU. I was coach at the high school there. Dino Babers was at EIU. So the whole the sexy offense was snap the ball in 10 seconds. So the head coach goes, hey, snap the ball in 10 seconds. And I was like, this is for high school kids. That's a lot. You would
Yeah,
have to
it's,
just,
it's that's tough, dude.
well,
You
especially
had
in
to
Keene.
literally have like 4, 5 plays total, and just go.
Yeah, you can't have the whole playbook open when you're trying to snap the ball in 12 seconds because they're really thinking. And then, like, he told me to do that. He's like, hey, your whole playbook's open when you do this. And so I remember trying it. I'm getting a workout in. You'd have to like get the formation, and then the motion, and then tell them like this and that. And uh, we were a team that said this concept's on this side, this concept's on this side. So if you have Texas and Oklahoma, like run the Texas, run Oklahoma, and you're trying to signal like Texas, Oklahoma, and you're like, now the kids are thinking, and they're like, oh shit. And,
Right.
and then I realized I was like, if I remember an OC again, I'm not doing that. And so the school we're at now, like if we go no huddle, it's literally like, hey, we have one word plays, and guess what? These one word plays already are plays that we have put in. Like it's
Right.
not going to be anything new. We have like three that maybe aren't, but the rest are, hey, it's hand down tight end over here, inside zone right. We're going to call it Captain America or whatever. So when we used to signal it in, now we show Captain America. Okay, we can just run this play.
Right.
And if you have an RPO on the backside, it's really two plays. Like, hey, hand it off or just throw it, and that's all you
Yep.
got.
Yep.
And it's super easy. Unless you have a sophomore quarterback that's never done it before, then you see real quick that it's not as easy as you think it is.
Oh shoot, yeah, I've been there. Trust me, I've started two or three freshmen in my career at quarterback
Oh,
for a full season. It's
oh.
a it's a trip for sure.
Um, so when you go to different places, or like now you take over as OC,
Mhm.
what's I know it's just the high school level, but still, like when you come in, what's the first couple things you have to do? Because you don't get to pick who your assistant coaches are. They're there.
Right.
What's like the first steps you do when you come into a new place?
Well, I'll just use Hixson for example. This is kind of what I did, and kind of what drew me to the position is one of my best friends who I've coached with before. He's my O-line guy, so we ended up getting the job at the same time, which is kind of crazy how it happened. So obviously that's the first thing I look for, and really want to get a good O-line guy that understands kind of what we're doing. But what I did is I put I've got a whole Google Drive of my offensive system and everything that I've run. And I've got literally all of our play concepts in like, I mean, I took so much time and make Google slides, got rule responsibility,
Hmm.
video clips from different places. I've got all that in like a whole drive. And I would clinic with the coaches. I'd meet with the coaches before spring practice or whatever. And we'd go through like what we're going to do. Like, and I would teach it like I was teaching the kids, literally,
Yeah,
and I would take questions from them, and we get that whole thing right. And I'm asking them questions about kids, like because I don't know the kids, they know the kids, so I'm
right.
asking like who would be best personnel. This is kind of what I'm looking for in this position. Boom, 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 and we get a list up, and then we kind of tackle our little details and what plays we're going to run, and start really really kind of small and build on that. But that's kind of the whole thing, is just getting those guys together, kind of talking about your philosophy, what you want to do, who you are, what your identity, what you want your identity to be. Ultimately the kids were the identity, right? Like what they can do the best. So
Hmm.
um, trying to mesh what I believe in and what the kids can do well, and getting the coaches bought in on that. And that was a very easy sale for me. It has been an easy sale for me. I've worked with a lot of really really good people over the years coaching, man, and it's a profession like no other, as far as like kind of a brotherhood of. It's kind of the same as being a player. You got a brotherhood like when you're in the locker room, and in the coach's office it's a brotherhood as well. It's really cool, and that's kind of how we did it at Hixson, is just getting together and just trying to work on a ultimate goal, kind of what we're trying to do, and it's been good so far.
Do you coach quarterbacks or do
I
you?
do. Yeah,
So,
that's what I played. So
okay,
I've coached everything on offense. Like when I was in Georgia, I worked with a lot of the offensive line stuff, and I've coached everything. The only thing I've not coached, period, is defensive line. I've not coached that.
okay.
But yeah, I'm the quarterback guy.
So when you come into a room like that, when you're watching film with those kids,
Hmm.
how do you like have the culture of your room when you come in? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, so for me, like coaching a quarterback, man, and I guess there's two philosophies. There's the old school philosophy of, I don't know, like reaming a kid out for,
Hmm.
like, I don't know, I don't yell at the quarterbacks. Like I'll yell at every other kid unless the quarterback makes like just a dumb like leadership mistake or something. Like I don't yell at a kid for like, because playing quarterback's the hardest position on the field. It just is. If you're throwing the ball, like it's really hard. I mean, you got all kinds of stuff going on. So I'll make it really, really, really simple for those kids. And it all starts with the terminology of like play concepts and stuff. So first of all, we're a wristband team. Everybody wears a wristband.
Hmm.
So the quarterback, I make it easy for them, but they're the only ones that have the full play every time. So
Okay,
I'll signal a number or something in, and then they've got the full play. Everybody else has their responsibility or their concept, if that makes sense. Like
right.
receivers don't ever remember plays; they just have what routes or if they're start blocking or who they're blocking. That's what they have. So the quarterback is just getting with them and like making it really, really easy for them as far as like our run plays are this. Like they're way different than our pass plays as far as terminology. Like this is how you tell them apart. That's number one, like first setting them down. And then like on our drop back passes, like we try to read the triangle. So we're trying to read the apex backer, the flat defender. I call him the Sam. We try to read him, or we're reading the safety or the corner in that little triangle. So I've got different plays set up, terminology, and it helps them with who their read is. Like our RPOs, if we're reading the SAM, they all start with the tags all start with S.
Okay.
That makes sense. Like
Yeah.
we're trying to read the SAM, they all start with the S. If we're reading the end man, they all start with an E. Like we try to make it really simple for them. And I don't scream and yell at those kids. I mean, I do enough of that for the whole offense. And like I said, if they're lacking on leadership, I'll get in their grill. But as far as like film, we're like talking through it like we're just like talking ball, like we are right now.
Right.
Like we're just talking through it, and I'm putting them on the board. Making them uncomfortable. I'm making them do all kinds of stuff, and it's really just a big learning experience, and letting them kind of be their own teacher in a lot of ways, and me just kind of guiding them in a way that makes any sense. I might have just rambled, but it's kind of a laid back kind of thing, especially in the film room. It's like I'm really hard on them in a lot of different things, but as far as like playing quarterback, we're just really trying to make them comfortable and really make them feel confident in what they're doing.
Right. You said something interesting about the wristband. Like, so when you call a play,
Yeah,
the wide receivers wristbands, it's literally just saying, hey, if it's number five,
slant.
and
Yeah,
the outside receiver, it's saying, hey, you're running a dig.
yep.
That's all it says.
That's all it says.
So you're just saying number five, and they're just looking at it.
Dig, boom, they got it.
Okay.
And then for the offensive line, like if it's a pass play, like it just gives them their like our 60 and 70 series passes. It looks like it's kind of like the half man, half slide
Hmm.
kind of thing. We just call it Bob. I just almost just call it big on big. And I just call it Bob. It'll say 60 Bob, and they know exactly what to do. That's all it is. It's not the full concept. So it just says 60 Bob, so they know that what they're doing their pass protection. And the quarterback has the full play. He's got to know the full concept. But tailback, I call our pass protection for our play action stuff. I call it Bama because whenever Bama got really, really good, like when Saban got there were a lot of around where I live, there were a lot of fake Alabama fans. So I call it play fake. So they kind of get that. I'm like, you got Bama. What's that mean? Yeah, fake. I'm like, yeah. So they all got their little responsibilities, and yeah, they really love that wristband stuff, man. Like they're getting really good at it, and they take a lot of pride in like doing that. And it makes it really simple for them, and it really makes install really really easy as far from a passing standpoint. You really just have to teach one person like the concept,
Okay.
so it makes it really really simple.
Yeah, because everywhere I've been, except for when I was in high school. In high school, we ran the power I option. So if they were passing, it was like, hey, it's I don't know, doubles 1, 8, 7, 6. And they gotta know what the number
Yeah,
one route is, number
yeah,
6. We were huddle. Then everywhere
right.
I've been ever since is, hey, we're gonna run Michigan, which Michigan was mesh because it's an
Yeah,
M.
yeah,
Uh, if we're gonna run shallow, it's shack because it's SH, and
hmm
practice those around. But you, as you know as well as I do, if a kid goes down and you got to sub a kid in,
hmm
then you're going to move kids around. Do they know the concept? And so, like
yeah,
this year, we had wristbands, but the wristband was there to like it was like a cheat sheet. So
yeah,
if we said, hey, spread right, I don't know, play was called Exxon, and they look at Exxon like, oh, if I'm the X, I'm running this. So it was
hmm
like a cheat sheet. We didn't have to say a number; it was just that.
yeah,
But that's interesting that you can just like signal in a formation and say, hey, number 6,
yeah.
and the quarterback says number 6.
And I can share that template with you, dude, man. Or I could pull it up and show it to you. But it's it's literally like I've got it to where every and the wristbands we can put 3 cards in the wristband. We put one on the very top. We flip it
Mhm.
open. You can put one under the one that you put on the top, and then one on the inside.
Yeah.
So if you're a receiver and we got 3 receiver positions, if it's a kid that you want to get the ball, you just give him all the cards, and you say, "All right, you're a Z now," and then he's looking at the Z band. and then he just goes over there and plays. And you just let them play fast. I mean, you eliminate the thinking out of it. They just got to know, like, we signal formation in. So we'll signal formation, and then we signal a number too, and they're all looking at the sideline, but our quarterback repeats the number. So he'll say it out loud. And that gives the offensive line, like, they don't look over. They're just down and ready to go. So formation don't matter to them at all. So they don't even listen to the formation. Then they just listen to the number, and our center repeats the number for the offensive line when he hears it.
Uh, for the pass protection,
Hmm.
do you already have it set like, hey, they have to pass protect this way? So when it comes on there, is it going to say like 62 and they know, or is it just,
No, we've got a set pass pro. Like, we'll like for a team we plan for, we'll game plan it, and
okay,
we can make adjustments. Like, we can keep our H back in. Like, we have words to, like, our H back's usually in the route. We usually do just a 6-man pro. We don't do 5-man protection a lot because I've done it a couple times and I'm not really comfortable with doing that a whole lot. So we 6-man pass pro, and if we want to call fire or flame, then we're going to keep the H back in to help, and that's our adjustment to, like, teams that blitz a lot or that's really giving us problems, like a really good defensive end, like a team we played against. Their defensive end was going to Duke. I mean, he's pretty good,
yeah,
so we got to keep him in and 7-man protect it. It just eliminates our arrow route or our flat route most of the time. It's not a big deal, and we're trying to push the ball down the field. We'll do something like that. We've got built-in adjustments, but they kind of just got the same. Like, I call Bob big on big, and we practice getting different fronts, and they know the adjustment based off of what we get. So we do a big pass pro period, and we do it every Wednesday, and we go like a live bullets. Like, I start sending, like, everybody. Like, we just have like an inside run period, but we just do pass pro,
yeah,
and I make the quarterback hold the ball, like, for a long time and just feel the pocket, like, coming, keeping his eyes downfield. I'll just set a couple kids out, like, where like a curl or something would be, and I just have him out there, and I'm like, I want you to feel it, and at the last minute, I want you to let go of it. So I
right.
want it to feel like real. So we give them all the different scenarios, and they communicate with each other, and they pick it up more times than they don't. We just drill it a lot.
Yeah, because I always have two pass protections. One's like a quick game. Like for the lineman,
Hmm.
nothing really changes. It could be a 4-man slide, depending on how they line up. It might be a 3-man slide.
Hmm.
But the way we have to teach it is when you hear these words, it's just us, right? Like it's just probably
Yeah.
going to be us. When it's this word, we have a running back. So if this linebacker comes through and you're trying to get back to him, you don't have to because somebody's going to pick him up. And so,
Right.
and then the quarterback can flip flop it. Like sometimes you can't, depending on where the running back's going. But that's why we never said, hey, it's always this, because sometimes we can, hey, I want you to have the man side, like the guy that's attached, go to this or
Right.
whatever it is. That's why we never did that. Um, 'Cause I always kind of just wanted to be big on big because what is it? It's always big on big.
Yeah, and that's how we block it most. It's like ISO. I mean, instead of your H back leading up on the linebacker, he's on a route, and your tailback is faking, and he's responsible for that linebacker. That's kind of how we do it, man. It's just really just big on big. And if they got like a 3-man front and they walking dudes up, we just call out, and we just fan block it, and we're working one of the guards, whatever side's out, the opposite guard will double team with the center on the nose, and their eyes are looking to the left inside backer. Tailbacks play faking for the other backer, and that's it.
Yeah, I may have to go back and do that because teaching it wasn't hard. It was just the constant reps, make sure the running
Yeah,
back knew where to go because he went opposite. If the slide's this way, you're going this way.
yeah,
Because some of our plays involves the running back getting out.
yeah,
We tell the quarterback, well, if he leaves and there's an outside guy, that's who you're reading. Like we can take care of the box. If that outside guy just comes right now, you got to get rid of the ball right now to
yeah,
that running back who's leaving.
yeah,
But he would freak out sometimes because he was younger and switch the protection to go get that guy that was sitting there. Or sometimes he'd tell the running back to stay and get him. And we're like, well, wait a minute. You can't do that because he's leaving. But like as you know, if you're a young quarterback, you see pressure and you're trying to
yeah,
think, protect myself, but then
yeah.
it kind of takes away from the whole play.
Right.
Because we dabbled trying to do wristbands like that, and we didn't really know how to go about it.
Yeah.
I may have to go back and tell him my OC that But because then to me, you can't have that many routes then, I guess, because that's a lot of cards just typing that you have to have in.
I can send you our template, man, after we get off of here, and it's pretty simple. You care if I share my screen? I'll just show it to you real quick.
I'll go ahead.
I'll just show you kind of what we got. If you just let me know when it's ready to share.
I think you should be good now.
All right, let's try it out.
Me and
Let's see.
technology don't get along, so we'll see what
Oh yeah,
happens.
let's see here. We're on the. All right. Can you see?
Yep.
All right. So this is our quarterbacks band. This so
Oh,
I've got
I just see
one.
your email. Your
Oh,
email
okay,
popped up.
never mind. Let me stop share and go back to it. Let me go. I've got two different tabs pulled up. Let me reshare it. All right. You should be able to see the Excel sheet now.
Perfect.
Okay, so I've got four bands right here. They're all the same. I'm going to zoom in. This is the quarterbacks band. So I'll zoom in, and it's really just I'll highlight it and show you where it says QB in the bottom right here. It's
Yep.
really just everything up here. So all my ones, everything that starts with the ones in a series. So that's our zone.
Yep.
Our two series is our power. Threes are counter. Four stretch, and then our bootlegs off a stretch, like if we're in the pistol.
Mhm.
Five, we have some counter tray. And then we got our six series is like our 60 and 800 series, which is our actual pass concepts or post snap. We're reading right side. Like we have an access side, which is the opposite side that they can throw to. That's pre snap read. So our sevens are our 70 series or our 900, which is our post snap left side concepts. Then we
Okay.
have a mix after that. We have jet sweep. We've got some screens, got some just a different mix of a lot of different things. Um, and that's kind of 8, 9, and the X series. They're kind of all a mix of different things. But if I went to, let's just say I went to like the Z receiver, this is what it looks like.
Okay.
So it just kind of gives him his responsibility, um, kind of what route, stalk, who I'm blocking, now screen, slot receiver or A, when to block the corner, push, block corner. So I try to do all the thinking for these guys,
Right.
and I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of time invested in it. I mean, it's just a lot of time, but
I was gonna say
um,
it's probably just to type
it
one takes a while to make sure it's all
yeah, yeah. So let's go to right guard. I'll just show you what they're. So I've done it two different ways. I've taught concept like all these are zones, right? But you saw in the
right.
quarterbacks, they're all different plays because they're all different tags to it.
Right.
But for these guys, it's all the same. So it's really not a lot invested in the offensive line. It's the same stuff.
Right.
Um, so I mean, I've done it to where they block the concept like it shows here, and I've done it to where I've had to literally put the rules on there, like gap down backer or whatever zone step right. I've done it both ways. This has worked the best way, just teaching them the full concept.
Right.
But if you had a kid that you needed to put in there, you could do rules or whatever you want on it. But I've got them all typed up for um, every position down here on the tabs, and you can just make it your own. I mean, you can do whatever you want to with it. And we just signal, like I said, we just signal the numbers in after our formation, and we just go with it.
Um, each week is like on some of those wide receivers, say like block the corner or block here. Will you change those week to week?
Oh yeah, I change it like during the season for sure. Like during the summer, we'll kind of keep them the same for a long time. Like preseason, we kind of keep our base. But yeah, we definitely change it during the season. I'll type it like I'll watch film and then I'll write down different things that I need to do and we'll change. And I always try to keep a few blank and a few different freeze plays too. That way we can call different numbers and get them draw off sides. It's almost automatic. We get them jump.
Which is awesome. It's an
Yeah,
awesome thing to
yeah.
do. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to think about that because we signal all we were all hand signals for like 5 games. Like everything was hand
Right.
signaled. We were a huddle team though, so we could go in there and say it. But then the thing we ran into was the quarterback had to remember each play was this pass protection. So in the huddle, he has to say, hey, trips right, Florida. Then he has to tell them Florida's our sprint out. So he has to tell the line we're going to sprint out.
Yeah.
But then in the huddles, he would forget that. Like he would just say Florida, and the line would get up there, and they would realize, wait a minute, he never told us what to do. So they would always turn around.
Right.
Then he would say it. So it's like, well, now we're defeating. We're not a no huddle at the time. We were like a huddle team.
Yeah.
Now the defenses start to figure out, well, when the quarterback's talking, it's probably a pass is what was happening. Because in the huddle, he could easily say inside zone left, wide
Yeah.
zone right. So the line would come up and it's fine. But the pass protection was always the iffy one.
Right.
Each pass protection was set to the play because the running back's leaving. He's got to say to the line what he wants because the running back's leaving. So we want to make sure that the man side is on that side.
Hmm.
The slide was going away from it. Um, so then we gave him a wristband and tried to say, hey, on these plays, you got to say this, but also depends on the formation too. Like it could be trips left Florida. Well, now we got to go to the left and you got to think that way. Or if it's spread and we're 2x2, which way are we going? Like, and so that's kind of where sometimes we made it more difficult than it needed to be, I
Sure.
guess. Um, Especially because we went to a pistol almost exclusively this year because our running backs visions were not the best.
Hmm.
So from sidecar, I had to adapt inside zone because we all know inside zone is supposed to aim for like the guard.
Yeah.
Well, what would happen is they would start aiming for the C gap. And I tried to tell them, if you're going to the
Oh.
C gap on inside zone, you're going to get in trouble. And so I had to overcompensate and tell the kids, hey, to the running backs, aim for the center. So it's kind of like a mid zone now, but I was
Mhm.
overcompensating because then hopefully they would get to this guard. Now we can make our cut. But
Yeah.
from sidecar, their vision wasn't the best. So pistol, for some reason, getting downhill, making the cut on inside zone was just way better. But
Did
then
you
the
like your wide zone out of pistol a lot better too?
oh yeah, I hate it out of sidecar.
It's I've only been able to do that one time, and it was this year. Our kid, he was just special. I mean, he's just good. Like he's just good at the side. I mean, he could do anything, but he's the only kid that I've ever seen that I've ever had that really could run stretch out of sidecar. That's why we're going to go into more pistol next year.
Yeah, our OC loves sidecar. He made a big me and him get along, so it's never like
Hmm.
we're yelling or getting arguments. Because I'm the run game guy, he's
Yeah.
pass, but he's the OC. So at the end of the day, it's like it's what he wants to do.
Hmm.
He loves sidecar. And I said, I do too. I love it from RPO perspective.
Yep.
I feel like the quarterback is more in a natural position than getting to pistol and flipping and throwing. Um, but I also said we have to get to where we're going to be more successful. And then he would love to try wide zone out of sidecar. But I'm like, yeah, but then the running back's kind of get even with the quarterback. He's got to take a step back. I just feel
Hmm.
like the running back now is at this angle and trying to get downhill is tougher. But from pistol, it's more natural.
Right.
But we also didn't want to give it away if we were sidecar and say, well, every time they're in pistol, they're tossing or wide zone. Like it's one of the two. So
Hmm.
it has to be kind of everything. You don't want to give it away.
Right.
Um, yeah, I pistol for wide zone is the best. I know
Yeah.
under center is probably the best, but we weren't.
Yeah.
I'm not an under center guy anymore. I love just being in gun.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I just to be honest with you. I mean, everybody likes to say, I hate when people on 3rd and 1 getting shotgun. I'm like, I don't really care. I mean, I get it. Like, if you practice shotgun all the time, you're going to be better at that than you are going to be under center snapping the ball. We'll fumble. I mean, I've done it. We'll just fumble the ball, even though we practice it a little bit. But they're more used to shotgun, and you can read a defender in the shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. If you're going to QB sneak it, yeah, do that. That's fine. But I
Well,
don't know. I think that's kind of an overrated kind of thing that people say.
I do too because I'll look dumb because this year there was one of our games we were up 21-7 at half or 21-0 at half, and the whole third quarter probably had 8 bad snaps, and I could hear our fans yelling, "Get under center, get under center." Our head coach is like, "Should we get under center?" And I'm like, "No, no, we don't practice it." And then it happened
Yeah.
again in the fourth quarter, so then I started to think like, let's maybe try to go under center. And because we didn't practice it, guess what happened when we went under center the one time?
Fumble.
Fumbled it
Yep.
because we're not used to it. And so I'm like, maybe we should practice it all the time. And then you start going, well, that's not who we are. And But then
Yeah.
I've also been at schools. I was an offense coordinator. We were pro style the first year. We're under center. We fumbled the ball under center too. So it's the same argument.
For me, dude, I play quarterback. Like it takes a lot of reps to be really good at getting it under center. I think it's a very underrated like skill.
Mhm.
Like it's tough. Like if the ball's one little way, if your hand's not all the way up there, I mean, I was nervous every time I went to get a snap in high school, and I practiced it all the time. I was nervous up until I got the ball because I was afraid that we were going to fumble it
Mhm.
every time, and that's why I'm just like, if we want to QB sneak in, we'll work
Yeah.
those things. We'll work it in practice, just getting it and going, and maybe getting an eye and getting it just to somebody real quick, and maybe one boot off of it. But I'll never be really under center like a whole lot. If I don't know, I just don't like it as much.
We do the same thing. Quarterback sneak, obviously, you're real quick under center, boom, go.
Hmm.
And then we practiced that. And then as the year went on, we started to add wrinkles. So if we're yelling our quarterback sneak phrase, then we tag it with something. So if we're like, hey, I'm not gonna give it away. If I just say, hey,
Yeah,
it's Romo, I don't know, Romo Mahomes. Well, the Mahomes is telling us, okay, this guy's gonna motion or now. So now they're looking at that. Then if we see that it could work, maybe we go, hey, it's 3rd and 1 instead of 4th and 1. Hey, we're gonna go Romo and then our toss play and we toss it to him or whatever it is, or hand it off to him for like a jet sweep.
right,
We could do that because what's the defense thinking when he's running really quick up to the line, get under this like they're thinking quarterback sneak. And
right.
we do the same thing. That's the only time we go under center was, or if we get our heavy, if we're in the goal line, we're in heavy. That's the
Hmm.
only time. But even then, like our quarterback told us that he's like, I kind of don't like going under center. He likes being in gun
Dude,
and seeing
mine
the
did the same thing. Mine did the same thing. Like I was we went to do it. We fumbled, but there was a penalty on the defense. They were because they got it. They were in a neutral zone.
Mhm.
And then I was like, well, let's just try it again. And he was like, no. He was like, I mean, I was like, he said, no, 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 no. I said, all right. So we didn't do it again the whole year.
Or we even dabble when we were going to go to pistol in the summer. Was do we go straight to traditional pistol and get 3 yards behind the quarter or the center, or just go like 4 yards? And our quarterback kind of like the 4 yards because when he was close, there was just a
Yeah.
comfort feeling for that quarterback to be like, I can see everything,
Yeah.
like look around. And if he's really close, and
Hmm.
my center had some hot snaps. And so if he got close, he was afraid of like
Yeah.
getting it here, but then like whoop, because
Hmm.
he was like, tell, one time I got mad. He goes, tell him to slow down the snap. And I looked at him and I said, why don't you just catch it? Because you can't tell the center to like change everything.
No, dude, that's when you screw up right there, man.
Well, that
Yeah.
happened with the game where we had like 8 bad snaps because I tried to tell the quarterback, I was like, you know how you mentally can lose it as a quarterback? That center now, my center now
Yeah.
is like that poor kid. We won the game still, and he did not celebrate with the team. He like told me he went home and just hid in a dark room. He was like, I almost lost us the game and this and that. And I'm like, told the quarterback, I see that mentally you can screw up a lineman really bad. I told him, I said, hey, I know you got a lot going on. You got to know the pass concepts. You got to know the RPO.
Mhm.
You got to know which way to hand it off. Like you're thinking, they're thinking too, man. Like now I'm an old lineman at heart. So I told him I have a little soft spot, but
Yeah.
also I've coached quarterbacks before, which you could take offense to this. That was the most boring time of my life. I was the OC. And at the time, I didn't have to coach a position. I remember coming to that season, I was like 22, 23. At the time, they said, hey, you're going to be the OC. You don't have to coach a position. We have a coach for everything. You can walk around. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Well, then our quarterback coach had to leave. And so he's like, Steve, you're going to have to do it. And I said, fine. First year was fine because it was brand new to me. The second year I did it, I'm like, I'm bored. And they're like, what do you mean you're bored? And I'm like, I want to hit people. I want to
Yeah.
do this, do that. I only liked it when I was calling plays because then you could kind of work the whole field with the quarterback. But during
Right.
drills,
Yeah.
all right, run over this bag a couple times. Okay, let's throw it to the receiver.
Right.
And I got bored.
I don't blame you, dude. At heart, I love coaching offensive line. Like I love it. Like I look forward to like getting to spend like I love going to inside period because I go with quarterbacks and we'll work RPOs and stuff during inside, just getting a read, just getting
Yeah.
a real read, and we'll do that. And I love the pass pro period. Like I love it. So I get it, man. If if I didn't coach quarterbacks, I'd want to coach offensive line for sure.
I loved the other two positions I would probably coach. I loved O line would be first. Then I loved coaching tight ends because it kind of was involved in it if you had the
Mhm.
big kid. But then I also loved running backs. I don't know why, I just loved running backs because it
Yeah.
was easy enough, but it's also they're involved so much in
Yeah, it's a lot of detail involved there too. It's more than people think. It's like as far as I mean, you got pass pro, you got I mean different runs, run schemes, you got ball security. I mean, there's a lot that you could do to help a running back out.
yeah,
And I just one thing I never really did. There's a couple times I had to because I've had some not so athletic kids. Is like coach vision. Like
yeah.
when you get the kids that can just see it, dude, that's a blast.
Oh,
That's a
it's
blast.
well, that's why this year I didn't do running backs. Obviously, I was with linemen, but since I was the run game guy, I always would peek over and try to see. And that's when I try to tell them, like, hey, I can tell they don't have the vision. I can tell this. So we got to work on pistol. And I had to help with the footwork.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd step on the running back coach's toes because I would just step in and be like, why are we, oh, we false step and then, or we're
Yep.
jumping instead of just stepping or whatever. And it's because the line coach would come out in me. So, you're a little more aggressive when
Yeah.
you're doing that. And I'll never forget, we had a kid who was practicing quarterback, but he was a running quarterback. So we started to say, hey, what if we just the very first game this year, let's put him in at running back for a play. We were up by like 30, so we're like, hey, let's just put him in. His wicked first step on his cut on wide zone. I looked at the head coach and I was like, maybe that's a running back. And I think it was later on in the year, we ran wide zone. He cut it back all the way to the backside B gap, C gap, and got like 7 yards. He comes over and he goes, hey, I know you tell me to do this. It's probably going to hit here,
Hmm.
but I just saw this and went. And he was like
Hmm.
apologizing. And I was like, do you not watch
Nope.
college football? This is what it's supposed to do, actually.
Yeah.
Get it to flow this way, and boom. Like, or there was another play we ran toss, tight bunch toss that way. It was so clogged up. He had nowhere to go. I tell my backside lineman, don't even worry about the D line on the backside. Just get to linebackers. Because if that defensive lineman tackles him, we need a new running back. Like it's going to happen. Well, the D lineman just went straight down the field, like down the line of scrimmage. Nothing
Hmm.
there. Runs all the way back the away from everything and gets a 25-yard run. And he comes over and he goes, I know I'm supposed to go here. And I was like, just be an
Nope.
athlete. Like, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you're an
Yeah.
athlete.
Yeah. I had an old coach, the first coach I worked for, I talked about a second ago. He would he'd tell the running backs, run where they ain't. That's
Yep.
all I'm gonna tell you. Run where they're not.
Yep.
Just go.
Yep. And but they were young. He was a sophomore, never played running back before, so he would always uh very detailed in like what we were saying. So if I was telling him like, hey, on inside zone, read the first lineman to that side back to the second, you'll see where you can cut back. And sometimes he would just not even cut. He would just press into the pile and get like 2 yards. And he'd freak out. And I'm like, hey, I'm okay with 2 yards. Now,
Yeah.
to make your life easier, if you would have cut it this way, you're not getting touched. And as
Yeah.
the season went along, they started to figure that out,
Yeah.
especially because my inside zone was all double teams because I was a big double team. Week 3, a team figured out how to beat it. What if we slant everybody as fast as we can and then send the linebackers the opposite way, like
Yeah.
real easy? And it screwed with my linemen big time. The running backs were like, I'm pressing to the double team. I'm getting hit. Like, what's going on? So at halftime, I had to say, guys, it's time to go old school. They like, what do you mean? I was like, traditional inside zone time, baby. We're all stepping to the right
Yeah.
or scooching, however we're going to get there, and boom. And it fixed every problem. And
Yeah.
so we did that the rest of the year because every team saw that. So they were like, what if we slant?
Yeah.
What if we slant? So we saw a bunch of slants, saw a bunch of damn four eyes that I hate to see.
Hmm.
And the running backs actually loved it better. So this year going into it, we're have to do the same thing because my running back's coming back. He's like, I could see better when they were just doing that.
Right.
I was stealing reps with wide zone because at the end of the day, hey, if you get there as quickly as humanly possible, I really don't care.
Right.
For linemen, I could teach you all these steps and all this stuff. Well, if you block him by just running to him and you blocked him, who cares?
Absolutely.
Who really cares?
Absolutely.
Um, what kind of RPO period do you do? Like, what kind of? favorite RPO drills what you have?
So I've done two or three that I really like. As far as like RPO, like drill, I mean I call it the RPO drill. So I'll take our quarterback, our tailback, everybody pretty much besides our offensive line and our H backs. They'll go do some run game stuff, and we'll work literally first snap. Um, they'll work hand the ball off, so we'll go mesh, so the receivers are dead. Next snap, we're going to work mesh pull, and we're going to throw our whatever concept we're running. If we're running what I call if we call stick, I'll call stick, and it's all hitches.
Hmm.
If we go smoke, it's all slants. Just stuff like that. And we'll literally work holding that mesh in and literally pulling it. I want them to pull it at different times because in the game, I mean, you don't know when you're. It's not going to be a exact science of when you're going to pull it from him and pop and throw. But then we'll even go farther than that, and we'll put some defenders out there, and we'll have like an actual read part after we get kind of warm,
Hmm.
and then we'll have receiver drills, kind of where we have three guys running a hitch route, and we got two defenders out there, and one of them catches the ball, they got to turn and go block the secondary. Then my favorite way to do it is really just an inside period. So I'll set up our inside guy. So if we're facing the 4-2, whatever, I'll put the 4-2 in the box, and I'll throw a Sam linebacker out there, and then I'll get one of our backup tailbacks to go play slot, and then I'll like give that Sam backer a blitz or step to me or go to coverage, and our quarterback's eyes have got to be on that guy every time. So I
Right.
literally ask the quarterback every time. I'm like, "What did he do? What was his first steps?" And he'll tell me. So we're just really trying to get our eyes on that guy as many times as possible. And even when I train the quarterback's eyes, the first few times that I have them, we'll go just mesh drill with the tailbacks, and I'll stand where the Sam or the end is, and I'll give them a number. I'll like throw two up, and I'm like, "You got to tell me what number it is, as you that way your eyes are over here." So that's kind of how I start with our eyes, and then we kind of build into all those little drills there.
Um, is there, I don't, yeah, sometimes I run into this problem. My lineman will get downfield too quickly.
Yeah.
Is there like a word you guys have for that, or is it just slow playing, or just
Nah,
you
man,
have to
I
know
just
the
let them
quarterback?
go. I've had it called one time in my career,
Okay.
so
One of
we
my
don't
guys
even. I don't.
sprinted. He like
Yeah,
sprinted to get to the guy, and that's where, like I said, I don't care how you block him, you sprint. Well, that was one of the
yeah,
times where I'm like, "Hey, remember the steps I told you to take? Because I want to slow it down a little bit. This is
right,
the time."
right. Yeah, we don't. I've had it called one time in my career, lineman downfield, and that's because somebody just scouted us, and they just told the ref they like to throw RP. They were in their ear the whole time. He just threw it. Like our guy was like 2.5, 3 yards downfield, and he called it. It wasn't even like really. It didn't even look that bad. But on film, I was just like, that dude's up there in his ear the whole time.
Hmm.
So we had it called once, but I just tell them to go block them. I mean, if we're getting two or three of them calls, we'll slow down on it, or we'll just make it a pre-snap look. Right?
Yeah.
We'll just tell the quarterback, say me, and tailback get out of the way, and we'll throw it. We won't even mesh.
Right. Yeah. Because sometimes I know coaches say like we have a word like to slow it down, and
Nah, I don't do
I
that.
didn't. That I think that would mess with the lineman. Like, what do you mean slow it down? Like, I don't know
Yeah,
what that means.
yeah. I never want them to play slow. That's why the whole thing with us, man, is go. Like, I mean, we're that's why I dumbed it down for the wristband thing. I'm like, I'd preach. I want y'all to play fast, even if y'all screwed up. Go.
Right. Um, who do you research in the off season, like with your type of offense? Like, who are guys that you're going to look at or try to find film or?
Right. I mean, I kind of pull from a lot of different places. It's kind of weird. Like one of my favorite guys to listen to talk, Brent Dearman.
Yep.
He's a head coach at North Alabama right now.
Yep.
He's really good, man. I've seen him in person a couple times, and really love his RPO, how he teaches it, and we kind of teach it the same way, just different terminology. As far as like I don't really watch a lot of NFL teams to draw like inspiration from. I do on certain things because I mean NFL is just a different animal. I know they're doing a lot of cool stuff, but
Mhm.
I look at more like college.
Mhm.
Not that they're not like alpha like athletes. I know they are, but the college game is more like the high school game in my
Yeah.
opinion than
Yep.
NFL by far. So I mean, obviously, I'm a Tennessee fan, like so. I was obviously watching Heupel when he first got there, and one thing for us is we try to play wide splits as possible. I mean, just to get the box clean. So we're not running like up tempo and everything that all that they do all the time. But I've drawn some inspiration from that guy. Man, he does a really good job there. I like the dude that just took the head coach at Bama. I like DeBoer. I think he
Yep.
does a really good job offensively, especially in their pass game. Um, I've really started watching Missouri this year as far as their pistol stuff, like we were talking about a second ago, how
Yeah.
they run
Yeah.
outside zone with a pistol, man, and it like they'll run it with like a lead, like they'll lead the H back, they'll ISO, and then they'll stretch everybody else, and
Yep.
they hit that thing, and that Joker getting downhill fast, like he's
Yep.
hitting C gap and getting downhill. So I've been watching a lot of their stuff, just trying to find teams that do what our identity is going to be for the next year, and I think that's going to be kind of us. And they do a lot of good bootleg stuff off of it,
Yeah.
and so I've been really watching those, especially those three. I'm always a Tennessee fan. I'll always draw kind of what he's doing because I think he does a good job, but just those other teams and I try to like make them all kind of who we are. I'm not trying to do exactly what they're doing, and obviously got to make it fit what we can do. Like we're about to go to the Nashville Glacier Clinics next week, and I told a lot of our coaches, I'm like, look, there's going to be a lot of good things up here. We can't do all of it,
Right.
so we got to figure out what two or three things that we can take from this thing and make it our own. Like, and I think NFL coaches are smart, but I won't go listen to NFL guys speak in those. And not that is, I mean, unless it's somebody that I just like idolize,
Right.
because I'm not going to be able to do that stuff. I've made that mistake. I've went to a couple NFL guys, and it's just like, man, I can't do none of this stuff that y'all are doing. Like we can't 5-man pass pro for like 5 full seconds. Like we just can't do it. Like
Right.
so I just try to do that and watch different colleges and even different high school guys, man. Especially at those clinics, going to those high school guys that are having success, those are really beneficial.
Yeah. I I like college football more than NFL. So like NFL stuff's great. I'll never sit there and try to draw up what they did. Like
No, ever. I've never done that.
I have the NFL Plus thing, so I can watch it all 2022. But I just do that just to, if I do it, it's for like formations because I like the heavy sets they
Yeah.
get in, and
Yeah.
it's different rules, but it's like I
Hmm.
like that stuff. College, I will sit there and sometimes like try to go back and draw that up. But like you said,
Hmm.
you can't add it. Like if you're going to add it, what are
Hmm.
you going to take away? Because
Yeah.
I did that during COVID. COVID, I overdosed on football because there was nothing else to do.
Me too.
I started this podcast in January of 2020. So then
Yeah.
like I had nothing else to do but football. And like I have a tote full of just COVID shit, just drawing it down. And I'm like, we're gonna run everything. And then it got to the point where I had to get away from football, like because our COVID got pushed to the spring. So like for Illinois, it was, hey, January, it was like, okay, we can get back to playing sports. So we're gonna start with basketball, then football, like so from winter to fall to spring. And I coached all three, man. I did basketball, football, track within January to the end of May. And it
Dang.
was, I was, you want to talk about a burnout? That was burned out. Like, hey, we're gonna do track at 6 a.m. because COVID, you have to be away from everything. So hey, track's at 6 a.m. Then you gotta go to football practice after, or whatever it was, or a basketball game
Yeah.
after going to football practice. And then I'll never forget the date. It was June 7th. Hey guys, go back to normal. So that next day we started our summer stuff and it went right back to normal. And then we had another football season in the fall. So it was the football season in the spring for 6 games, and right back to our normal in the fall. And you want to talk about all of us coaches being just burnt out?
I guarantee you. Yeah.
Oh, that was a rough year. That fall we went 0-9, which did not help. We went through five
Right.
quarterbacks, five. They just kept getting hurt. And I'm like, I wonder why everybody keeps getting hurt. Oh, wait a minute, because we did that spring and now we're doing the summer, then we did the fall. But that during that period, I realized you can't do everything because I felt like we
Right.
had to. In the spring, we were very rushed and we felt unprepared. Like our first game, we only had two run plays in. We had inside zone and ISO. That was all we had. And we were new head coach. I'm a new O-line coach. We're trying to do a new offense. And we just felt so unprepared. So going into the fall, we felt like we got to have inside zone. We got to have ISO. We got to have power. We got to have counter. We got to have trap. We got to have, and we went 0-9 and we could blame the quarterback, but we sat there and we went, how many pass plays did we have? How many run plays did we have? And so we got to regroup, but
Yeah.
long-winded story to get to, like the overdose on football, you can't have everything. So when I go to clinics, we do exactly the same thing. Like, hey, if I walk away and I found a new way to teach this pass protection, like with different wording that might fit my kids, it's a
Yeah.
success. Like that happened last year.
Absolutely.
I saw the O-line coach. He's now at Duke. He just got hired. Coach Nord. He was at with the Raging Cajuns. I watched his clinic or the Glazier in live. The only thing I liked was his passion. He was up there like he was coaching us, like he was
Yeah.
cursing. He was all excited.
Yeah.
Just some of the words he used for like the inside pass protection stuff I took away. I immediately sent him a message on Twitter. I said, I loved your presentation. And he sends a message back. Appreciate it. Everyone want to talk ball. He hopped on the podcast like a month later. I'm like,
Hmm.
that's what it is right there.
Yep.
Took one
Yep.
thing. And like you said, I can't watch NFL guys talk. It's like, hey, you got the best of the best. I can't do that.
Right. Yeah. It's no use in it for me.
No, sometimes like you said, if it's we're Bears fans, so once in a while if there's a Bears coach there, you might walk in for 5 or 10 minutes just to see what they're about, then you
Yeah.
leave. You're just kind of like, oh, that's cool. I'd rather listen to a college, and some I don't even listen to all the college coaches. Some of them, I'm like, you got better dudes than we do.
Yep.
Or I hate when this happens. And God bless, I've never presented and I never will because I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. But when I walk in and I listen to a high school coach, and one of the first things out of their mouth is, this guy's going to Alabama, this guy's going to Tennessee, this guy's going to Michigan, I almost walk out because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
so you're telling us, and then you're going to show me something that I can't do.
Yes.
Now, the guys I just start into it, like, this is what we do, this is how we talk about it, this is how we organize it, and they don't say that stuff. I'm like, okay, I can listen to this. Those other guys, I'm like, so you got Power Five dudes, and I've got non-college athletes sometimes, and I'm
Yes.
not doing that. Like, oh, my right guard is not 200 pounds. He's not duck walking. He's not. Oh, you have a 6'5" quarterback, 6'6". Oh, we got a 5'11" quarterback. Like this is not happening.
Oh
Can't.
yeah.
Well, coach, I appreciate your time spending over an hour with me on a Friday night. Even you could be out having fun doing something.
Nah, man, this is fun. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, I learned. I'm taking the wristband thing back to the coach and be like, "What about this?" So I stole something from it.
That's all good, man. I'll send it to you as soon as we get off here.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Absolutely, buddy.